Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. US President Donald Trump has announced he will name his nominee for the Supreme Court Justice by the end of the week.
People are so tired. Did you hear today the latest?
The plan has launched a high-stakes battle ahead of the presidential election on the 3rd of November. Mr. Trump wants to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a liberal stalwart who died on Friday, aged 87, with a conservative. This would cement a right-leaning majority on the US's highest court, where justices serve for life or until they choose to retire.
Let's say I make the announcement.
Italians have voted in a referendum to cut the size of the country's parliament by more than a third. Almost 70% of people voted in favour of the change, with the number of MPs in the lower house being reduced from 634 to 400. The Senate will also be downsized. The referendum was pushed by one of the governing forces with the argument the move would save the country €1 billion over 10 years, but critics argue it will weaken the authority of Parliament and deliver minimal cost-saving benefits. The former Mali defence minister and retired Colonel Bar Ndao has been named interim president, while the leader of the junta will be vice president. Mali's ruling junta has come under intense pressure from leaders of the Economic Community of West African states to return power to civilians following the August the 18th coup that overthrew President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta. It is unclear whether the arrangement will satisfy ECOWAS, which last week threatened to step up economic sanctions and impose a total embargo on landlocked Mali if its conditions were not met. Colombian workers and students have protested against social and economic policies of President Ivan Duque amid an economic crisis and reports of police brutality. The death this month of a man detained and repeatedly stun-gunned by police led to nights of protests in the Bogotá and satellite city Soacha that killed 13 people with hundreds more injured. Hundreds have gathered in Bogotá's central Bolivar Plaza, with some protesters throwing rocks at police outside the seat of the country's top courts before being dispersed. In Australia, at least a third of 270 whales stranded off Tasmania have died and more are feared to be dying. That's according to rescuers. However, crews were able to save 25 of the animals on Tuesday and are aiming to escort more back to the sea. The pilot whales were discovered in shallow waters off the west coast of the island on Monday. It's unknown what drew the whales to the shore. Marine biologists say the rescue mission will likely take days. Beachings are common in the region, but one of this size has not been seen in over a decade. A massive wave of rubbish has washed up on the beaches of Omoa in northern Honduras, leaving former pristine beaches covered in piles of garbage. The rubbish, made up of cans, bottles and plastics, is so big it's formed a layer floating several feet deep into the ocean. Honduran authorities declared the garbage is coming from the mouth of the Montegua River in nearby Guatemala. In addition to ecological damage, the eyesore is hitting the tourist-dependent beaches economically as well. Local media report the Honduran government has sent an official complaint to Guatemala, asking the neighbouring nation to take immediate steps to halt the trash washing out to sea. And finally, a sight you don't see every day, a man riding a horse down a US highway in rush hour traffic. The man, who is an activist known as Dreadhead Cowboy, has become popular in the city of Chicago for riding his horse during a number of protests and events. The stunt, which was accompanied by a motorcycle escort, caused large tailbacks on the road. Adam Hollingsworth stood on the horse triumphantly after he was pulled over by police. He was then arrested and later charged with multiple offences. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.